So of course the front lawn is in behind me here, and a few days ago I filmed sort of an intro part to this video. I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to get filmed and what I wasn't, so let's go back in time and show you this new project out here just beyond the new front lawn, and then this whole huge area out here, this big field that I've been working on too, and getting that prepped for some seeding work. So let's go back and talk about this whole project. So as you can see behind me here, I'm about to get started on renovating this field, and today I'm going to figure out exactly how much square footage I have left, because this section right here, although it is full of a lot of foxtail and some crabgrass and other things, I did get a seeding down on this that has some ryegrass in it, and so I want to see this fall if I can sort of make a revival on what's here without having to redo it. And if I don't do a good job on that, I can do it again in the spring if I really needed to. So this whole field has been sprayed once now. I have some weeds out in here that are Roundup resistant, which is really fun. So I'm going to see, after I do a power rake and stuff on this, what comes up again, and then I'll try to figure out a plan of action at that point for what's left in this field. Planning to put down ryegrass in this large field, and not sure exactly which height I'm going to do yet on it, but we'll talk about all that stuff as I get to this. It's going to be a big project. I know that I could do all this on the computer, but because I'm out here and I just want to see exactly where all the lines are right now and get a good measurement, the old-fashioned way, walking it, is going to be what I do today. Okay, so after walking all of that, if you include this area that I'm just going to overseed, and then you include the whole big renovation field, I've got 56,280 square feet. So when I said it's a big project, it's a big project. And someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but I'm most likely thinking this is the largest ryegrass home lawn that anyone has on the face of this earth. At least I've never heard of anyone having a ryegrass lawn this big. And will it go well over time? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. Will it need overseeding? Will it die off in summer? I'm not gonna be able to cover all of this thing with water, at least with my current well situation, but just like tall fescue in the south, you kind of know that there's going to be some damage here and there depending on what your year is like and weather is like. But I just want to do this one time, give it a shot, and see how everything goes. And you know, the thing about it is that I'm going to be taking different sections of it over time and making it into some little tee boxes and doing some different things. So this whole big area that's turf, eventually if I have some trouble spots or areas that I just can't seem to keep going, then I can always turn those into something else. I'll definitely be making some content on that, so stay tuned. You can see over here on this side where this has been getting obviously a lot more water as it runs down this channel. I had some pretty decent growth during the summer. Now as you start to move this way over into this middle section, and as I said, there's plenty of weeds over here, everything was just very stunted. And let's take a section like this. And I brought my soil probe out here at the wettest point to see. I mean, I can get, looks like about probably 4 or so inches of fairly good soil, and then I get into some of the heavier stuff. So what happened with this section, this is where some of the septic field area was turned over in terms of soil. So this isn't all just topsoil that was left here. So I think that's probably why I'm having an issue, is it's just gets into a heavier soil pretty quickly, and when it doesn't have water, which I did not water this area at all this summer, then all of this you can see is perfect. This just crumbles. This type of soil right here, no problems growing in that. So I think if I aerate this pretty heavily, drag it around, smooth it out again, and get a good overseed on this, and get it going into the fall, and hopefully have some good fall weather and good fall rain and get it established before next summer, I think that I'll probably be okay with it. But it's just an experiment I'd like to do because there is grass in here. I could have just started over again if I wanted to, but I'd like to just see what I can do to rejuvenate this. Get going! So out here, let me explain why I don't think I would do that exact same process again. So I needed this to be at the right moisture in order to actually get some cores pulled with that aerator. And so it had rained for a few days. It was dried out enough that I thought I could get in here without it being too muddy, and that part actually did work well. I got some good cores pulled. But what I noticed was in any of the thinner spots here where I did have maybe a clump of ryegrass, then as soon as that thing came through, it really started to tear out a lot of turf instead of just make it better, which is what I was trying to do. And in the end, it made a lot of bumpier areas too, because it tore out some of that turf, or if there was a bare spot that it didn't just come in and pull a core, it actually took a chunk of the ground out. Now I'm dealing with a little bumpier area than I actually even started with. So I think long term that's not going to be a big problem. I can come through here and do a top dressing so I could lay out some nice topsoil. I do have some topsoil saved from when we were doing our building that I could come out, lay this out through here even after I have grass growing, and drag it around and do it that way. So I could definitely do that in the future. It probably will be what I do to smooth it out again. Now it's not terribly bumpy, but I just noticed that the process probably made it a little worse than better. The idea behind what I was trying to do with that was that I'd get enough cores pulled and that I could drag them around, break them up, and actually create a top dressing over top of everything and make it nice and smooth. Now when I did the drag, it didn't do a terrible job of breaking up some of those cores, but some of this out here too is just slightly heavier soiled, so it's not all perfect topsoil. So it worked okay to drag, but again, it didn't create an ultra smooth surface like I was going for. Now one thing I will say about that aerator compared to this area out here, when you had good existing turf, did run it through the edge of that front lawn just to see what the differences might be, and I didn't tear up anything. It pulled good cores. So I think when everything is well established and you have good moisture in the ground, that aerator is going to work very, very well for me. It was just this process out here with the actual more thin spots and things that I didn't absolutely love what it did. So in the future, I think what I would have done is just forego that aeration part on this right now, and I would have just done some light top dressing out here with some fresh soil, made it nice and smooth, and then put the seed on, drag the seed, and so just lightly underneath the surface, and I think I would have had better results with that. So now we're to the watering phase, which I don't have irrigation on this. It's about 8,000 square feet, so I am just using sprinklers out here to get that done. And the other thing that I did was I had some crabgrass and some foxtail out here. So after I did the seeding, I put down a starter fertilizer, not the one with the weed preventer in it. So I already had existing weeds out here on the surface, so I wanted to spray those and the soil, so whatever may come up during that time frame, I could go after it that way. So what I sprayed with here was quinclorac and tenacity. I believe the label says that you can do this at the time of seeding with quinclorac on grasses like ryegrass, but I don't believe you can do it on bluegrass. With me dealing with 100% rye here, no issue with that, and I'm already seeing the weeds start to really look pretty sick and they're starting to die off. Getting a good process done at the same time here with that seed, where taking care of the weeds that were there and starting to get seed coming in. So I did a rate of about, I would say, probably 4 to 5 pounds per 1,000 square feet on the ryegrass overseed, and some of the bare spots, maybe a little bit more, because I did add a slight more by hand when I saw some of the spots that were really, really thin. From there, I've just been watering this and trying to keep up with it now as things grow in. And of course, we're having a nice little heat wave, or at least much warmer weather than was originally forecast when I started doing all these seeding projects, but that's how it goes. So the update on the big field out here is I did burn off what was left of that cover crop. So when I mowed down the cover crop, there's always some straw-like material left from that cereal rye is what I used out here as a cover crop. Waited for that to dry out, and then I started that and just burned off all of the excess material that was on top here. There are some weeds left that are, these are the ones that are Roundup resistant, so I'm gonna see some of the ones that I did burn look like they croaked pretty good, and we'll just have to wait a little while longer here to see if they're actually dead or if it just burned off the foliage that was out on top of the ground. But if it did work, then I should be able to come through and probably use my torch on some of the rest of these weeds and get rid of them. So I'll probably start working the soil out here fairly soon too, so that I can get some more of the weeds to pop up as we get closer to seeding, and probably do one more blanket spray on everything to get it as clean as possible before the seed goes down. I know it's hard to believe that summer is winding down and just has been flying by this year, but so many projects coming up for the fall that I'm excited about. Stay tuned for all that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.